We're going to continue on here with factoring polynomials. Another type of polynomial you might come across is quadratic trinomial. Again, this should be a review from your Algebra 2 days, and also Algebra 1 for that matter. But I want to go through and just kind of review how you would factor a quadratic trinomial. There's a little bit of a trick that you can do here. What we're going to do is we're going to split up this middle term, this negative 7x. We want to break that up into two terms. First and the last term are going to stay what they are. The trick here, I just don't want to break these up into any two numbers that combine to be negative 7x. I want to make sure that I pick the correct numbers. The trick in doing that is you take your first coefficient and your last number here, you multiply those two together. When I do that, I get negative 30. Oops, here. So 6 times the 5 is negative 30. I'll write that up here. 6 times negative 5 gives me that negative 30 there. So the two numbers that I picked, they need to multiply to be the negative 30, but add to be negative 7. So you can kind of start playing around with what multiplies here to be negative 30. With more practice, you can usually get it pretty quickly. But I mean, you can just do the one that we actually did to get negative 30, negative 6 and negative 5. Those don't add to be negative 7. Those add to be 1. So I know that's not going to work. You can try some other ones here. You can do 3 and negative 10. Okay, when you add those together, you do get negative 7. Okay, so those are our magic numbers. We're going to break up this middle term here into 3x minus 10x. The order doesn't really matter. If you wanted to do minus 10x plus 3x, you could do that. Just make the signs do matter. You want to make sure you got a negative 10 and a positive 3, because that would give you negative 7. So here we'll change this equation just a little bit. The first one stays the same. Now we're going to write plus 3x minus 10x. Okay, that's what we broke the middle term up into, and then we still got the minus 5 on the end. Now what we can do is we can look at the two parts here. We're going to group these first two terms together. We're also going to group these second two together. I'm going to put the minus with the 10 here. You can put a little plus in there. We're going to group these together, and we're going to factor each group. Because when you look at this first one, you get 6x squared plus 3x. Common factor there is 3x. 3x goes into both of those terms, so I can factor that out. When I factor that out here, I get 2x. Here I just get 1. I got to write the 1 this time because there's nothing else to write. Here, you can factor out a negative 5. That's the only thing you can factor out. You got a negative 5 that's in common with negative 10 and the minus 5. So we're going to bring out a negative 5. We'll just write it as minus 5. And then when we factor that, this becomes 2x, and this becomes plus 1. Now be careful there. You got to change your signs because you're factoring out a negative. So this minus becomes a plus. Now, if you notice something here, we got the exact same thing in the parentheses. 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1. That needs to happen. If you get to this point in your problem and you have totally different things here in the parentheses, you did something wrong, you need to go back and figure out where you messed up. You may have picked the wrong numbers here, or you may have made a factoring mistake somewhere along the way. So make sure at this point you check you got the same thing in the parentheses, which I do. So since I have the same thing, 2x plus 1, I can factor that out to the front. So just write it once, 2x plus 1. It's common with both of these, this term here and this term here. So I can bring that out to the front. And then when I look what I have left over, if I factor out the 2x plus 1, I have left over 3x minus 5. Okay, and then you're done. You're done. You just factored that quadratic trinomial. You got an equivalent expression down here. If you wanted to, you could set this equal to 0. You could figure out what the x-intercepts were. If you're trying to solve this equation, you could figure out what your x's would be there. But this is how you would factor a quadratic trinomial. I'll give you an example here, see if you can do one on your own. You can check with me in class tomorrow to see if you got the right thing here. Let's go with, let's do 6x. We'll call this example 2. We'll do 6x squared. Let's do minus x. Nope, sorry here. Nope, yeah, that's right. Minus x and minus 2. See if you can factor that. You do the same steps. You have to split up the middle term, factor by grouping, and then factor out the binomial there. So give it a shot, see what you can do. Also, feel free to rewind, pause, as I go through and do all this. And if you have any questions, ask me in class tomorrow. You can shoot me an email as well. That's all I got. Thanks.